We're just a day away from the much-anticipated Trilateral summit. Let's take a closer look at the topics the three leaders will be putting their heads together to discuss at Camp David with Mr. Bruce Bennett this morning. Welcome back to the program.
Well, thank you. My pleasure.
First off, during a written interview with Bloomberg News yesterday, President Yoon hinted at the possibility of separate negotiations or consultations on extended deterrence among the three nations, like those established by the U.S. and Japan back in 2010. Now, what's your take on this? I mean, what will it mean for the three sides to do so? In what shape or form?
Well, I think what we're looking at is something in addition to what Korea and the U.S. are already doing. Korea and the U.S. are doing extended deterrence strategy consultations. We've been doing senior consultative meetings. So this will be probably setting up some kind of trilateral activity in addition to what is already going on bilaterally with the United States and South Korea and with the United States and Japan. There are many issues which need to be coordinated among the three countries should North Korea ever commit an act of aggression against any one of us.
Indeed. Now, that's also in line with what President Yoon stressed the world would never accept North Korea as a nuclear weapons power, as it insists to become so. Now, in what way is this in line with South Korea insisting on achieving that complete denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula?
Well, I think all three countries would love to see North Korea completely denuclearized. Of course, achieving that in the short term doesn't seem to be in the cards. North Korea won't even negotiate. But it is a case where that is our ultimate objective. And what we have to do now is to take action that will compel North Korea in that kind of direction. We have not been forcing North Korea in that direction, trying to avoid causing an escalatory problem with North Korea. But North Korea is escalating their threats, they're escalating their provocations, and it's time for the three countries to decide how to proceed in trying to control the North Korean threats.
Sure. Now, we're also hearing there'll be the so-called Camp David principles, which will be announced to strengthen the trilateral ties. Now, what do you think the principles will actually include? I mean, what kind of principles are we talking about?
Well, I think we're talking about a variety of issues. We're talking about military coordination. We're talking about economic coordination. We're talking about humanitarian issues, human rights. So these are a variety of issues on which the three countries share substantial common interests. And we'll want to make sure that that is well established and that we are in particular saying that we want to see the other countries in the region, North Korea, China, Russia, to adjust their behavior to follow the principles of freedom and humanitarian issues, human rights. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to get that from the other regional countries, but that's the objective of our three countries, is to work together to that end.
Sure. So the principles will not be strictly restricted to just defense cooperation, but rather in a broader range of fields, including economy, like you mentioned, human rights, something that involve their mutual interests.
Exactly.
Now, according to President Yoon, again, the three leaders will consider measures including sharing information on supply chains and securing an EWS or early warning system, right? How would such a system work and in what way? How, and have we had anything like that before?
We have had some coordination on early warning. Early warning is broad-based. It's warning against submarine attacks, it's warning against missile attacks, Air Force attacks. So there has been sharing of some information, but it has not been fully trilateral and it's not been fully available to everyone. That becomes important. We need to each see what the other is seeing in order to maximize our ability to deal with it. When a missile is fired from North Korea towards South Korea, if that ever happens, it's actually easier to see that and precisely plot its location by looking from Japan. And similarly, if a missile is fired from North Korea to Japan, it's easier to see and plot from South Korea because you're looking at the side and you see very accurately the trajectory. So that kind of cooperation is very important, but it's not just limited there. There are a wide variety of areas where, even in the defense realm, there will be cooperation in order to maximize our abilities to defend ourselves.
Sure, the three-way warning system will not only be just symbolic, but also functional at the same time.
Exactly, and trying to make sure that that's established and that we have people working on it is critical.
Right, and also before we let you go, the North Korea is not too happy, obviously, but same goes for China. Now, China's state-run media has called such Trilateral alliance, right, Seoul, Washington, and Tokyo, quote, mini NATO. I mean, why does China care so much in this case at this moment?
Well, China's set 2049 as their objective for regional dominance. And the stronger the US, Japan, and South Korea are in working together, the more they frustrate China's objective. So China doesn't want to see this kind of cooperation. I mean, look at China, Russia, and North Korea. Should we call that a mini Warsaw Pact? That's effectively what China is working on to leverage our countries. I think we need to be cooperating together in order to maximize our ability to withstand Chinese pressure, which China's demonstrated is not just military, it's also economic, as when they did their sanctions against South Korea associated with the THAAD deployment. These are areas where we need coordination between our three countries so that we are protecting ourselves, not just militarily, but also economically.
All right, Mr. Bruce Bennett, thanks so much for joining us all the way from Santa Monica this morning. Enjoy your evening.
Oh, thank you very much.